Check, check. How do we sound? Very good. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is J. Matthew Catron. I'm the Rabble Rousers candidate for business agent. We had scheduled this event as a debate between myself and our presidential candidate, who I'll introduce shortly, and the president and business agent candidates of the opposing slate, the Slate for a Better Union. Mr. Dinkins, their presidential candidate, declined my invitation to this today. So given that, we are going to take this opportunity to have a conversation with the audience. I have a few pre-prepared questions. If anyone either in Zoom, hello, by the way, most of our audience today is tuning in via Zoom, or in person, anyone is welcome. We have microphones set up. You can raise your hand however you really want to do it. We are accepting questions from everybody. So I would like to introduce our candidate for president of AFSCME District Council 33, Local 696. She has been working with the Board of Pensions and Retirement for 23 years. She's been an active union member for that entire time. Please welcome to the stage, Sharon Thorpe.
Thank you, Matt. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sharon Thorpe. I do work at the Board of Pensions and Retirement. It is one of the most popular departments in the city of Philadelphia, only because everybody's happy to come to pensions because you're typically retiring. I'm here today, thank you, here today to introduce myself. As I said, an employee with pensions, but I've been a member of Local 696 since I started with the city of Philadelphia. I've been under the current administration for that entire time period. And I am actively involved in the events of the union and of the local. My goal, my objective is to educate our members. Our local members need to be educated about what they're able to do. We also need to be informed about what's going on with respect to our local. We opened up an opportunity so that as members, you can ask those questions, but it's going to be one-sided today, and that's all right. Another thing that I can tell you about is the modernization of our local. With this forum and all of these other innovations that are available, we are now able to reach out and touch base with every member of Local 696, whether in person or through social media or through some electronic connection. We want to be in the 21st century. We want to be relevant. We want to bring us into today. Lastly, we want to be an advocate for every member, for every worker, no matter what your job title is, no matter what your position is. If you're a member of Local 696, we are here to be your advocates. We're here to help. We're here to be transparent, to let you know what is going on with your local, what's going on primarily with your money. Because if you're paying your dues, as we are, then you need to know, how are my dues being used? What's happening with me? What's happening for me? And how can my voice be heard? I thank you so much for allowing me to speak to you. And at this point, I'm going to bring Matt back up here so that we can deal with some of the questions and some of the issues that are very pressing to Local 696, not just 696, council level as well, internationally as well. Union works. It works because we have to work. It works because we work. That's the slogan of Philadelphia. But the local, we work. We do our jobs. And we need a different kind of representation. Matt?
I have a few pre-prepared questions here in my hand for our presidential candidate. However, if anyone in the chat on Zoom or in person here has any questions they would like to address either to myself as the business agent candidate or to our delightful Ms. Thorpe, the floor is open to you. Okay. These are all questions that were submitted to me orally, in person, in conversations that I've had in the past few months while I have been surveying the membership. I had a problem at my job. I spoke with my shop steward and nothing happened. Will you commit, and how will you commit to imposing on your stewards an ethic of follow-through?
An ethic of follow-through. Okay. I was just discussing that particular issue. That is education. If our membership is educated, you don't have to wait on a steward. You need to know your rights. You need to know what you're able to do before it has to escalate to a point of a steward intervening. Will I commit to that? That is a responsibility of the business agent. And yes, I will be certain that my business agent, that our business agent commits to not only helping to train stewards, but also it will trickle down and train the membership as well. An educated membership is a dangerous membership because you know what you can do, you know what you can't do. And if it has to escalate to a point of a steward being involved, stewards are going to be held to account. They're going to have to do a report and provide us with a report to say what happened. Here's the steps that I took, and here's what's needed in order to help the membership. Will I commit? Yes, I will.
And as the business agent in question, to add on to that, one of my primary goals is going to be routine, regular trainings for all steward delegates. Whether you have been a steward delegate for 20 minutes or 20 years, organized labor as a product of modern society is in a constant state of flux. The information that we have available to the world, scientifically, technologically, is doubling every 5 years. That is extreme exponential growth. And the only way to keep up is with dedicated training and study. What you said about making sure that all shop stewards would be required to file a report. Anytime a shop steward speaks with a member, casually, hey, how you doing? Or I had a problem and I want to talk about it. Just a quick note, a little report filed to me, the business agent, so that we know what conversations are happening between leadership and membership. Everything's going to be documented and on the record so that if there is a case where a steward is unable to follow through on a request from a member, I will be able to step in and fulfill the request of the member to the best of the union's ability, and to say to that shop steward, we need to make sure that when someone asks us a question, we give them an answer. We cannot promise victory to every single grievance. That would be careless. But we can promise consistent communication and answers to your questions.
And timely responses.
And timely responses. Another question I received. We pay union dues every single paycheck, $28 every 2 weeks. But we only hear about the local when there is a problem or when there is an election. How will you get the membership involved with the local on a consistent day-to-day basis?
I went to WALA, Women's Leadership Academy, and my project was to create a newsletter. I was promised support for that. I did not get the support that I was promised, but that will be my mode of communication. There'll be a newsletter that's available. There'll be an Ask the Business Agent corner. There's going to be a message from the president that's going to be a part of it to let you know what's going on with the local. We also have the electronic stuff. I'm not good at it, but I can get on Facebook and I can get on, what else can I get on, Matt? I can
Anything I get her on.
Anything it gets me on.
So,
But to make it electronic, just one second, baby, just to make everything electronic so that there is a quicker contact and not to blow anybody off. Oh, I'll get back to you. I'll take it under advisement. There won't be any moments of taking anything under advisement. To be in this day and age, you can't get in contact with someone, that's unacceptable. What else can I do?
to that end, one of our proposals for when we are in office, we want to begin a website specific to Local 696.
Exactly.
AFSCME International has a website. AFSCME District Council 33 has a website. Some of the AFSCME locals, especially in District Council 47, have their own individual websites. For example, in this very building, DC 47 Local 2186, excuse me, 2187 has their own website specific to their local, their needs, and it caters to them. We are going to do the same thing.
Yes.
We want to publish not just the newsletter, but we want to publish the meeting minutes of the general membership meetings and the meeting minutes of the executive board meetings. We want to get, thank you. We want to make sure that our members have access, not just to the fun things, not just to events that we're hosting, but the minute-to-minute details. This is how your money is being spent. This is where it is going. No exceptions, no secrets.
And not only the minutes, but the treasurer's report, a real, true, and accurate treasurer's report, not a profit and loss statement, which is not a treasurer's report, an expanded itemized treasurer's report that is given by the treasurer. That report will be made available on our website.
Whoopsies, it turned off. This is a very similar question from a different angle.
Different angle.
Many members have so little contact with the local that they do not know how to speak with their stewards, how to contact their stewards, and in many cases, who their stewards are. How will you make sure that those members do not get left behind?
It seems that that is a recurring issue. You don't know who represents you. You need to know who represents you. We'd like to have a meet and greet. We'd like to come to the different locations so that you get an opportunity to see us, to visit with us, to talk to us, and to be more personal than more distant. To know who your stewards are going to have to introduce themselves to you so that you will know, and you in turn will have to be educated on who to contact when there's a problem. There should not be any reason whatsoever that if an issue occurs that you can't get in contact with somebody from the local. There's no reason for that, not in this day and age, not with the accessibility of contacting people. Again, a meet and greet. Come and talk to us.
And to tack on to that a little bit, very similar to the answer I gave just a few minutes ago, we want to make sure that All of this is accessible online. We want to, in a similar way to how we're broadcasting this very debate to Zoom right now, we want to put that for the general membership meetings, which is the next question. I can't make it to the general membership meetings, but I want to know what happens, and I want to vote in those meetings. What will you do to make the union more accessible to the membership?
That speaks to the modernization aspect. Zoom is a viable option. We did Zoom during the pandemic. And the International Constitution allows for that meeting form to take place. In person and Zoom combined together. And no one, because the rules of order in Robert's Rules of Order will be in place so that whatever your question is, whatever your concern is, whatever your issue is, it can be heard in the proper form, whether you decide to come in person or whether you want to utilize your opportunity to be at a general membership meeting electronically. We do have the capability, we do have the capacity to be able to conduct a general membership meeting that allows you to come in person, and those who are not able to make it there to participate electronically. That way, the entire membership can be heard. Your voices can be heard. Your concerns can be made, and it will be that way.
Our most recent contract negotiation was in 2021. In that time, at that time, the contract changed so that the sick abuse policy was reduced from 8 unexcused absences to 5 unexcused absences. And for context, after you hit that 5 now, used to be 8, you are on this thing called the sick abuse list, where you're where every absence has to be considered excused with a doctor's note, and you accumulate sick time more slowly. 2 questions. 1, how is that acceptable? And 2, what do you plan to do in the next contract negotiation, which is in June of 2024, next summer? What will you do to fix it?
If I'm fortunate enough to be in a position of president of Local 696 during contract negotiations, speaking about the benefits will be my primary concern. That will be the part that I will advocate for. Understanding the value of our benefits, not so much money, not so much the raise, it's the benefits that make the difference as far as a contract is concerned. The health and welfare benefits, and also those work rule changes, not acceptable. As a member of Local 696, as a member of District Council 33, when I saw the contract, and it's out there on my Facebook page, and I read through the terminology in the contract, I said, don't ratify this contract. One of the few times that I figured out how to make a post. But my concern is about benefits. Benefits are more important than getting a raise. A raise helps, don't get me wrong, but it's the benefits that you're going to need. And being in pensions, I see the value of the benefits, the years of health coverage, that's most important. Another issue that I will address is members of Pension Plan Y. We are the only pension plan in the city that doesn't have option 4. Every other pension plan has option 4. It's a benefit. Does it matter? Yes, it does. Is it something that needs to be addressed? Yes, it is.
For context, Sharon, could you explain what option 4 is?
Option 4 allows you to, at the point of retirement, you retain your full monthly pension benefit. and upon your death, your qualifying spouse, dependent child, dependent parent, dependent grandchild, or same-sex partner is entitled to half of your benefit for the rest of their life. Every other pension plan has it. Only Plan Y is not able to take advantage of that. We're the only ones.
And so the last question that I have pre-prepared is it taps into something that you mentioned, raises. That same contract negotiation in 2021 was a 5.5% raise spread out over the life of the contract. So a little bit dished out every year.
Certainly.
Now, in that year, 2021, inflation across the country was 6%. The next year, 2022, inflation was closer to 9%. By staying in our current jobs, we are effectively losing money with these raises. What kind of number are you looking for in this next round of contract negotiations? And how do you plan to get that from the mayor and city council?
Well, in the negotiations, each local president has a voice. And what is done is collectively, you bring your issue to the table. Council President, Mr. Garrett, does the negotiation, but we give our input. We say, here's what we want you to fight for. We want 20% raises. That's unrealistic, but you fight for and you advocate for specific things. Understanding what we need and understanding what is necessary is the purpose of that portion. All right, to say, listen, advocate for option 4. It's cost effective. Here's how it works, this, that, and the other. To say what the percentage factor is, of course, we're going to look for everything, but to be realistic, deal more with the benefits. That will be the focus, but always raising a voice to say, look at where we are. You're asking for $3 and the cost of living is $8. It's not helping us. That's just an example. It's not helping us. We need at least $10 or we need at least $8 to deal with the cost of inflation at $8 so that we're progressing. My purpose, what I will do at the point of negotiation is to do the research, find out what will be most cost effective for the membership, what will help the membership, and give that and stand on that to say, here's what we need to be trying to get for our membership, and doing that and finding out, what does the membership want? What do you want? What do you need? What's necessary for you to sustain your life? You can say, oh yeah, I think we should get 15%. Okay, 15% may not be realistic, but at least I know what it is. I would like to see 7 years of health coverage. Okay, that's something. At least to find out and poll the membership and find out, what do you need? What is it that you're looking for? What can we do to help you? Because one thing for certain and one thing for sure, as a city employee, the terms of the contract affect every employee of the city of Philadelphia. Every employee is impacted by the terms of the contract. No matter what your local, no matter what your council, every employee is affected by it. And it's our job and our responsibility, not only through our education to know what I need in order to survive, but to be able to effectively communicate that to those who have the ear of those who are making these decisions.
And to tack onto that a little more, one of the biggest things that we among the membership are often discussing is the city residency requirement. To anyone unfamiliar, which is probably not any city employee, if you work for the city of Philadelphia, you must live within the city limits. If you move outside, if you move to Montgomery County, if you move to Camden, you will be discharged very quickly. As a component part of those contract negotiations, we need to make it abundantly clear to President Garrett and to the mayor and to City Hall, we need the resources, we need the money, we need the benefits, we need home buyer programs, which are currently in the works at the council level, in order to remain here. The cost of housing has skyrocketed. Landlords are increasing rents higher than the rate that the cost of housing is skyrocketing. And it is getting harder for us every single year to stay here, to afford to stay here, to sustain our lives and our families here within the city limits. If they want us to work for them, they have to give us the tools to do it. That was my last question for President Thorpe, presidential candidate Thorpe. Excuse me. Are there any questions either from the Zoom chat or in the audience here today? We had a couple people join a little bit late. Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Dinkins was a caring, committed, and competent union official and cared enough to be present today. What would the two of you like to ask?
The question was, because I don't know which microphones heard that, if Mr. Dinkins had shown up today, what would we have liked to ask him?
I think that my question to Tony would be, what are you going to do different? What are you going to do different than what we have been experiencing for the past 20 plus years? What new thing are you bringing to the table?
To provide full context for what she just said, presidential candidate Anthony Dinkins and his business agent, Mark Weaver, they have been in union leadership for a very long time. The current president of our local is a gentleman named Bobby Davis, and presidential candidate Dinkins is his business agent. Mark Weaver is the current vice president. Bobby Davis is retiring, and so the command chain is getting bumped up a notch. They refer to themselves as the slate for a better union. But they are part of this political dynasty that has been in charge of this local since the year 1996. If you are the slate for the better union, why does it look to me as if you are the slate for the same union? I want to know what's better about what you're going to do. You've been collaborating with President Davis for years and years and years. He's been the business agent for the entire time that I have been a city employee. If it's better, what is going to be better? From where I stand, it's just more of the same that we have had. We are interested in change. We are interested in different. We are interested in new. The city has updated their union busting tactics. The city has made their disdain for us clear and on display. The flyer that the Slate for the Better Union distributed this past week includes a line on it that says, building a strong and collaborative partnership with the city of Philadelphia. The city of Philadelphia and the union are two sides in an everlasting conflict. In 1937, before AFSCME existed, we were the Municipal Workers Union, and the city trash collection went on strike. And it was destructive and it was violent. And then it happened again the next year in 1938, when our people, the sanitation workers, were out there fighting cops and fighting scab workers, pulling them out of the trucks and forcing work to stop so that the city had no choice but to make sure that our needs were met. We are walking in the footsteps of people who went to war with the city of Philadelphia to get what they wanted. And we are ready to go to war with the city of Philadelphia to make sure that you are able to live, that you are able to eat, that you are able to take care of the people that you love. I am not interested in a strong and collaborative partnership with the people who tell us to pick up the damn trash. Our sanitation workers are in a different local, but they are our union siblings, and their struggle is our struggle. When we say that we want to represent all workers, we want to advocate for all workers, that extends beyond local lines, that extends beyond city lines. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And we're going to fight it where and when we see it.
Matt made a statement. Matt said in his statement that President Davis is retiring. President Davis has already retired. He's simply running out what's left of his term. Another line on the flyer says, "Let our experience work for you." To reiterate, what has your experience gotten us? What has your experience done for the membership? We have, you say you saved jobs. What happened to the job of the vice president? That job wasn't saved. You say you wipe all on their flyer, you wipe personnel records clean. You can review your personnel record and any adverse information when you speak to HR about educating the membership. You can request that that be removed. You don't need the local for that. Save jobs, get records wiped clean. What has your experience gotten us? And where are we? Whenever it's time to do something, the local has no money. What happened to Harmony in the Park? Who gets these scholarships that show up on this profit and loss statement? What's the process for how this money is allocated? Where is our money going? How is it being spent? How is it being dispersed? Again, let our experience work for you. My question, what has your experience done to this local? Membership is down.
If no one from the audience, or Evelyn, do we have anything in the Zoom chat? If no one from the audience has anything they wish to ask of the candidate, I would say, Sharon, do you have any closing remarks?
No closing remarks. I just think that this is a, I guess I do have closing remarks.
Charles.
Those that don't. Hello, my name is Charles Payne III. A little bit about myself real quick. Served in the U.S. Air Force for 18 years. Served in the military for about 21 years. Left the military as a sergeant. One of the things that have been discovered by me that I'm a people person, I'm a good listener and all that. And one of the questions that's been filled to me is with the politically correctness. A lot of people that work at McDonald's, Burger King, Walmart,
It's now mandatory in some municipalities to get 15, 16, $17 an hour, which to me, I happen to concur that it's patently unfair because my start as a semi-skilled worker, I had to take a urine, had to take criminal background, had to get my fingerprints, had to get my background check for molesting children, all that, my TB test, and all the stuff that you go through to become a middle-class American. One of the pains that's going throughout the union is we don't feel middle class. When I was little, there were 3 paths out the ghetto. Either you did something illegal, you went into the military, college wasn't even an option for most of us, or your parents would tell you from the time you 15 and 16 years old, when you get out of high school, become a city worker. But now the American dream is no longer around. What would we do even before the contract negotiations is a fair question because people want to know, is that what would we do to address the delineation between, you know, unskilled people versus tradesmen in the District Council 33? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charles. The delineation between unskilled workers and workers in the union. That's a hard call. Not a tough question, but it's a hard call because you're dealing with 2 different streams of employees. The ones that you mentioned are not union, they're not civil service employees. Let's go with that. Whatever testing is in place in order to become an employee with the city of Philadelphia is the testing that we're subject to take on these positions. What can be done between now and the time of negotiation? We can continue to find out what improvements are necessary. What do we need to make our lives better, as Matt touched on? What is necessary? And the only person that can get that information to us is the membership. Hearing what you said, all right, that causes, let's start thinking, let's start looking at some other options. Let's start looking at what we need, education, empowering women, because it is Women's Month, empowering women to learn different skills, taking advantage of the opportunity to better educate yourself so that you are a more experienced and intellectual worker, to learn and take advantage of the different options that are available. AFSCME has a lot of paths towards self-improvement. The council had some programs, but we can enact those programs. One thing I would like to do on a local level is to have a tutoring session for our children, not only our children, but to have a tutoring session for our adult learners and our employees to help them to get better at their jobs, to help them to do what is necessary in order to improve themselves as workers. We want to present a better and a stronger product that way we can make a bigger and better demand on increase in wages because I'm presenting a better product. Does that help?
I have an answer that you may disagree, Charles, with the premise of my answer, but I'm going to stand by it anyway. I don't believe there is a distinction between skilled and unskilled labor. I think unskilled labor is a myth put forward to have us arguing with each other when really we should be pointing our fingers together at management of McDonald's and the city all the same. You know, I heard a joke once that the software engineer thinks the plumber is dumb for walking around and working with pipes and doing these simple looking tasks, and that the plumber thinks the software engineer is dumb because they just paid you $150 to change a wax ring. Something that takes, 2 minutes of time. Mopping floors is a distinct skill.
Mhm.
It's not something that you can't just wipe them off on a floor and call it done. There's a process to get it done correctly. And I guarantee you, Mayor Kenny does not understand that process. I believe that when we advocate for all workers, that we really do mean everyone. I believe
Yeah.
that people at McDonald's should be getting $15 an hour, should be getting $20 an hour. And that it is the onus of the city to make sure that our wages keep up with that. We should all be rising together.
Mhm.
The only people who are getting richer right now in this day and age are the wealthy. People who were wealthy before the pandemic are now many, many times more wealthy after the pandemic. And it is there that we need to be focusing our energy.
Did that help?
Yeah, so we'll seek clarity.
For sake of clarity, in this building, we have custodial workers, semi-skills, and LAs, library assistants. In your world, it might be clerks. That wages is actually upside down compared to the non-union wages. And that's the point of contention that I'm getting from the field. But I concur with your great talking point, Matt.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
To that end, there's one other point I'd like to make. This is less relevant to the election. It's more just like a little note on the history of unionizing. Historically, unions have belonged to plumbers and carpenters and those quote semi-skilled trades. AFSCME is unique in the fact that it employs clerks, that it employs janitors, that it employs all of these so-called unskilled positions. And it is that classism that is the reason that we have a District Council 47 and a District Council 43, and they have two separate contracts.
33.
Excuse me, 33, yes. So one of the things that we aim to strive for is to break down those barriers, is to build bridges with the other union, which DC 47 has been very clear. They want to go to the negotiating table with us. They want to go to the negotiating table with our locals and with District Council 33 President Ernest Garrett. We want to make sure that those bridges get built so that the librarians and the engineers and the library assistants and the clerks and the guards all get more paid time off, better benefits, higher wages. Thank you.
That's the goal of, I think that's the goal of any union anywhere. Question.
I'll come to you in a second.
Okay, you can get that one.
Kaczynski Hall, Board of Pensions and Retirement. Hello, boss lady.
Okay.
One thing that I think a lot of union members are concerned about is the money. Like you said before, the benefits. The benefits are sometimes more important than the money. Would the new leadership be open to more ideas? For instance,
Yes.
I am very good. That's a good answer so far. Let's say something that happened to me. The rise of inflation, food prices are more than it's crazy out there. I have a very big family. That's my fault.
That's your blessing.
Yes, yeah, better. I was thinking about an idea. When I go to the doctor, I have a copay. When I go and get my medication, there's a copay. I want to get glasses, there's a copay. Is there a way with our membership where we can set up a certain fund? Let's say if we have about, I'm gonna just throw these numbers out. Let's say we have 16,000 members. Let's say we ask them to put $250 off of each check. That's $5 a month. Times that by 16,000 members, that's about $80,000. That means that when I go to the doctor's now and he gives me this prescription, maybe that fund can take care of that cost. So I wouldn't have to take that money out of my pocket, and it's something that'll benefit not just me, but for every member. So if you need the copay for your glasses, you got it. You need the copay for your hospital visit, you got it. Medicine, you got it. You wanna look good, go ahead and get that work done if you want. But yeah, I was wondering, would something like that be on the table? We'll be able to talk to the members. I'm pretty sure it's something that they would enjoy and benefit from. Thank you.
It's an idea. It's an idea. And the thing in line with that, as part of negotiation, dealing with health and welfare, those are the little factors that you want to think about. We have JFK, no copay, had a working arrangement with Jefferson, I believe, as a go-to hospital. Now, those things are addressed through Temple. That all came about under the negotiation of the former contract, dealing primarily with the health and welfare. And as I said, on my post, don't ratify the contract. I don't know who did the cost analysis to say what is it going to cost to switch from Aetna to utilize Blue Cross Blue Shield. And that's the part, that's the most important part while you're dealing with, again, I'm going back to benefits. Take a look at the bottom line. We switched from one carrier to another where we didn't have what we currently have. I know for myself personally, I received some expenses that I did not have before when we were under Aetna. I thought the Aetna, I still think it, was the black card because it was accepted everywhere. Blue Cross Blue Shield, it's a Pennsylvania product. If you go someplace else, you're out of state, you have to deal with whatever their connection is with Blue Cross Blue Shield. My son is in Massachusetts, so he's still under my health coverage, but he has to deal with their system, not Pennsylvania's system. He has to deal with their system. When it was Aetna, it was never a problem. It was never a problem. That's doing the research. That's taking a look and saying, oh, okay, a little bit more than, yes, let's switch health providers. Do the research. Find out what will it cost us and what's the benefit and what's the loss. It was not done the last time out. Me, I pledge to be a little bit more diligent. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be a lot more diligent because I want to know. It's my health coverage too. It affects me, it affects my family, and it affects everybody that's coming behind me. And I think that is what's most important, to make certain that we're advocating, as Matt said, and as we have stated, that we're advocating for all workers, not just selfishly, but everybody else that's around me. We all going together.
When unions win, everybody wins. But to the specific idea that you pitched of putting together funds for co-pays and just have little bits of money for things that members may need access to, I think that's an idea worth pitching.
It's an idea.
It's worth putting into either the contract or negotiating strictly on the end of the union. I think that to me seems like a Band-Aid on a really big gash. Co-pays are themselves just immoral. There shouldn't be co-pays, period. It's just a way for the health insurance company, which you pay $50 every 2 weeks, either $100 or $150, depending on the month. You give them all that money for the length of your career. Yes, I would like to go to the doctor anytime I damn well please. I would like in the event that we can't lower the copays or eliminate the copays in the next contract, then I would consider some kind of program within the union like that. But for the time being, my preference would be, let us direct that energy at the insurance companies themselves for draining the wallets of our members every chance they get.
And that's the research.
I'd like to use that. And I think I'd like to begin by saying that this is more of an editorial statement than a question. You know, at the moment, I'm feeling really angry at the people who are not here, the people who should have been here, because the truth is that Matt and Sharon have worked their fannies off during this election campaign. They have done everything that is humanly possible to do to take their message to the members, to make the members understand why this election matters and why their votes count. And, you know, and it seems to me that if you have ears and a heart and a brain, you've heard what's said here today. You understand why it's important. But I have to tell you, I mean, in spite of everything, I mean, what more can these people give? And I'm starting to worry that this election is lost.
Thank you very much for that, Dick. So at the beginning of this, I said that Mr. Dinkins declined the invitation. I would like to recite a more precise quote from him. On February 22nd, when we all announced our nominations, both their slate and ours, after the meeting had died down, most of the people had cleared out of the room. I went up to Mr. Dinkins and I shook his hand. I told him that we're going to have a good election this year. And I invited him to this debate. I didn't even get to the part where we talked about dates, times, and venues. I didn't even get that far. He looked me right in the eye and he said, "Oh, no, that's not how we do things here." So yeah, no, I knew that he wasn't going to come here today because he told me. And I believe that that is abdication of duty, if I'm being generous. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. They went around and they distributed flyers, and they for one day went around the Central Library speaking with people, ignoring a few people. Some people told me that they were not spoken to by Mr. Dinkins and his crew. He had a few of his slate members and a camera with him. And disrupting their work. Actually, you know, Tara, you told me a story about that. Would you be interested in taking that into the microphone for us? Okay, I'll say it then. That's fine. So we have a worker in the room with us who told me a story about Mr. Dinkins' visit here to the Central Library, where he was trying pretty forcefully to get the attention of a library worker who was currently interfacing with a patron. They were having a conversation. The patron had come to the building to check out materials. This worker was just doing their job. And Mr. Dinkins just like, let's talk about the Slate for a Better Union. Let's talk about this. I'm here to represent you. And the camera crew was like right there. I don't remember seeing any consent forms that day. I don't remember anybody saying, is it okay if we put you on camera? I spoke with a number of people who were interviewed. They didn't go through the normal procedure. They just showed up and they put up their flyers. In a few places, their flyers have been removed by security for improper placement. We only saw them for the one day. I don't know what other offices they're visiting. I don't have an inside ear to their campaign strategy, nor should I. But I see Tony Dinkins 3 or 4 times a year. I've only seen him like 3 or 4 times a year for the entirety of my city career. And one of those times a year is usually during the election. So, you know, I don't particularly approve of that campaign strategy where you show up and you put yourself in another worker's face. It's just unkind. Like, I don't understand how that represents anybody but yourself. I believe, actually, I haven't looked at the time in a while. We have a little bit of time left. Are there any other comments? If not, oh, I'm sorry. Did I see a hand in the back?
We do have one Zoom question that came in.
Oh, please.
Since the last request. This is one that sounds like it would have been a question for the incumbents had they showed up, but they didn't. But I'm still going to read this as typed for the incumbents. This person asks, how much longer should I wait to remind our current union leaders that my ongoing issues from 2 years ago have still not been resolved with what I believe was sexual harassment?
Do you want to talk first? Because I have an answer for this. Well, the short answer is never. You should not wait for that. You should be given the response rate of the current incumbents, I would recommend calling them every day until they have no choice but to, come and deal with the issue. In a more equitable union, there would never have been a wait time to begin with. We hear the word sexual harassment and we're on HR. It's just like, hey, this is a lawsuit. What do you want to do about it? That is federal law. And every single city employee is required every 3 years to take a training about what constitutes sexual harassment. So there is no room for ignorance. HR needs to step in immediately. I'd like to tell you a very quick story. In 2016, when I had first started, well, not first, but I had only been working for the library about a year, a colleague of mine, a young woman, told me that she had opted out of the union. I asked her why. She said to me, in this building here at Central, there have been people skimming money off the tills, workers who faced no consequences, where the union came in, moved them to a different department, nothing on their record, everything's fine. There have been accusations of sexual harassment. The union came in, moved them to another department, nothing on the record, everything's fine. There have been cases of workers being violent to the public. Union came in, said it was self-defense. Nothing on the record, you're fine. But when a union member comes up and says, I felt uncomfortable at work, I was experiencing a hostile work environment, I was sexually harassed on the job, no union, no help. That's why we're running. Current leadership is protecting bullies, lawbreakers over the lives and the safety of the general membership.
Evelyn, to the Zoom question, tell them to escalate to their HR department. Sexual harassment should not be tolerated at all. And if you cannot get an advocate from the local, you advocate for yourself. Thank you, dear. All right.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming. Sharon, do you have any closing statements?
I think we've had a good time. I got an opportunity to share with you. I am intense about what I do. I've diagnosed myself as being a little monkish. I like things to be in order. I like things to be done decently. More importantly, I think that this local can be a lot different than what it has been in times past. Many people haven't come, and this is just me, from what I've known, because they were tired of the Bobby show. They were tired of, this, that, and the other, the suspension of the rules, to tell a story, yelling at people, saying all kinds of things about the membership because they were in disagreement with your thought or your idea or your concept. In order to make a change, you have to be the change, and you have to vote. The last few elections outside of this one have been conducted via a voting machine that was located at 3001 Walnut Street, or 2 machines. Every member should be afforded a reasonable opportunity to vote and not having your concerns addressed like our Zoom call. Not having your issues heard makes you apathetic. I don't want to do anything. They're not going to do nothing. They're just going to forget me. We're not going to forget you. We hear you, and we're going to respond. But you have to help us. You have to get us in. You have to vote. You have to tell your coworkers, there's another choice. There's another option. We don't have to keep doing the same thing that we've done and keep getting the same non-responses. We can change it. It all starts with the vote. It all starts with talking to one another and saying, yeah, I'm gonna give them a chance. And this might be my last chance, but give us a chance. Let us make the change. Let us help to elevate your voices. We're asking for your vote, asking for your trust. Try it one more time. And try it with the rabble rousers. Try it one more time so that your voices can be heard, so that your ideas can be heard, so that you can bring them forth. And somebody somewhere will recognize, you know what? That's a good idea. Maybe we can work it out. Maybe we can do better. But at least somebody heard me and they honored what I had to say. And they recognized I matter too, because just like everybody in this room, with the exception of a few, $28 a month is coming. $28 a pay period is coming out of my check. And I want a little bit more show for the $28 that I'm paying. I guarantee you, it won't be like it was. It won't be like it was. That's it for me.
I want to thank everybody for connecting with us on Zoom today. This is your next president, Sharon Thorpe. My
And
name
you're
is Jay
business
Matthews Patrick.
agent.
I plan to be your next business agent, together with 10 more compassionate, activated labor activists. We are the rabble rousers, and we are here because we heard you. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Evelyn. Evelyn, can I find out?